All right, let me do my best to explain Lab 1 to you. Remember to read the whole write-up, though, and definitely pay attention to the due date as well. But here is Lab 1 in a nutshell. There's two parts. We're going to do a FizzBuzz program, because that's a fun one, and then we'll do what I like to call mini tic-tac-toe program. So this is going to be a lot of branching. So it's going to be examples of doing some comparisons and some branches. All right. So first of all, do that give me command like you did for Lab 0 to get the starter code. And then you should see these files in your current directory. So here they are for me. And let's talk about them. So the first part of this lab is going to be FizzBuzz. And I am going to have you write a FizzBuzz function, actually, secretly. Though I haven't told you how to make functions, don't worry about it. Here's the setup. I've made this program. It's got a main function. You get to see all this, by the way. Go look at your fizzbuzzDriver.cpp file. What it's doing is it's asking the user for a bunch of numbers until they type -1, and it's calling the FizzBuzz function on that number. And so you're essentially in assembly going to write this function, and I've done most of it for you. So don't worry too much about anything. I've done all the scaffolding for you, so all you need to do is write the assembly. You don't have to worry about how the function gets called and how it returns, okay? So your job is going to be to take this number that the user gave to you and do the FizzBuzz rules on it. Do you remember the FizzBuzz game? Did you ever learn that in a class? So here's the place that you're going to be working, all right? Don't worry about any of these things. Like, you don't even have to look above this line, these equal signs. Don't touch above here, or look if you don't want to, and then don't touch below here, all right? You'll need to mess with the data section, though. That's for sure. You'll need strings, okay? But in between here, you can assume that magically somebody placed a non-negative number in W0, a number that you want to do FizzBuzz on, all right? So that's important. And, all right, you'll have to play the FizzBuzz game now on that number that you see in W0, all right? So maybe, for example, the user gave you 3, and according to the game rules of FizzBuzz, you need to print out fizz, okay? So here's the setup. Hopefully you've seen this before. Definitely look up FizzBuzz. It's a very common program that people write these days. It's a good starter one for us. So here's what you want to do. If the number in W0 is divisible by 3, so if it's a multiple of 3, you're going to print fizz, all right? If the number in W0 is divisible by 5, you're going to print buzz. And if it's divisible by both, you want to print FizzBuzz, all right? So this is you'll have to rearrange these if you want to do like an if-else kind of thing. But that's the setup, all right? Otherwise, if the number is not divisible by 3 or 5, it's divisible by neither, then just let the function do nothing. Don't print anything at all, all right? So this is how I want this program to work, all right? So the driver is calling you, all right? It's calling you on a bunch of numbers that the user gave you. So like if you type 1, then it's calling FizzBuzz with the number 1. And so you get to assume that the number 1 was placed in W0, and it's your job to do these checks, all right? How do you do it? Figure that out, all right? Check if it's divisible by 3, divisible by 5, divisible by 3 and 5, all right? Because 1 is divisible by none of those guys, you'll just do nothing at all, all right? You'll just let it fall through, and there's no output. And it comes right back to the loop in the driver code, all right? If you type 3, then it's going to call your code with W0 holding 3, and you should see that it is divisible by 3, but not 5. So you'll print just fizz, okay? Same if the user typed 5, then you'll 5 or 10, then you'll print just buzz, for example. If the user types 6, you'll still print just fizz. But if the user types 15, see how 15 is a multiple of both 3 and 5, it's divisible by both, so you're going to print both of those guys, all right? So you should see FizzBuzz as the output, and then once you want to stop checking your answers, you can say -1 to stop all that. And so this has to be compiled in a special way, so I've given you a makefile this time. You can just say make FizzBuzz. You don't have to mess with the AS or the LDs. It's going to do it for you, all right? So I can explain this if you would like, but you just say make FizzBuzz. It's going to run this rule, and it's going to do the right thing. And then you can run your program. It's /FizzBuzz, okay? So yeah, see if you can get this working. And come to office hours or yell at me on Discord if you have any questions, but there is something you're going to have to figure out how to do, because to check for divisibility in C++, you would use the modulus, right? You'd check and get a remainder after dividing by something. But there is no modulus in ARM assembly. Ooh, weird. So you're going to have to figure out the remainder using some other method. It's going to have to be a combination of some things. All right. There is a way to do a remainder calculation, to do a modulus, by doing division, multiplication, and subtraction. All right, in some order. See if you can figure it out. All right. See if you can get the remainder by doing some combination of these things, because you know the assembly instructions for those, and those totally exist. All right. So that's all I want you to do. All right. So do these divisibility checks and do the printing with your write syscall. Put your strings in the data section. You'll need like fizzbuzz and then fizz by itself, stuff like that. You need the new lines, and you're gonna call one of those writes, yeah, using some comparisons and some branches. Okay. And then once you've done your writing, like you've printed your fizzbuzz or whatever, then just let the program fall through. Do not do the exit syscall. Right? Let the program continue executing, because this is like the secret way to return from a function, and we want to keep the program going. All right. So you don't have to worry about that. Just somebody put a number. It's magically appearing in W0. That's the number you want to do fizzbuzz on. Okay. And you'll use your write syscall to print out the correct thing. All right. So that's the idea there. And then for part 3, the last part of the program, last part of this this assignment is going to be a mini tic-tac-toe game. All right. So let's work on it like this. All right. So it's your tic-tac-toe.s file. So it's just one assembly file only. Looks a bit more similar to what you know. And what's going to happen in this tic-tac-toe program is the user is going to enter just one piece of a tic-tac-toe board. Like pretend that the user just entered one row or one column or one diagonal. And you want to check to see if the characters are all the same. Like they're going to type in XOX or XXX or OOO, something like that. All right. So your job is to figure out for this one row or column or diagonal, make it simple for you, to see if there was a winner. All right. So the way that there was a winner is if all of those characters that you see that you got from the user were the same. All right. So the setup, you'll use the make file to compile again. You'll do /tic-tac-toe. You're going to ask the user for 3 characters. All right. And I was nice enough to do that for you. So I output the prompt right now for you. And then I'm filling in this board piece memory here with this read syscall. And so now it's your job to look in board piece, look at these 3 characters, and see what was there, right? Because if these don't all align, then there was no winner, right? It's like a cats game or whatever, for that line at least. And so if there was no winner, print a question mark in a new line, like this. Or if there was a winner, like the user typed XXX or OO, they were all the same, then there is a winner on that line. And so you'll print out who the winner was. And so you'll print out X in that case. If it was OOO, of course, you'll print O. Does that make sense? So that's going to be your tic-tac-toe game. You're just getting 3 characters, and essentially your job is to see if they were all the same or not. If they are not all the same, print a question mark. If they were all the same, print whoever that was the winner. Okay? So just print the X or print the O. Something like that, all right? So that is going to be your tic-tac-toe program. I think that's all I wanted to say there. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions on that, but that's going to be your lab. So those 2 pieces, the 2 files that you're messing with are fizzbuzz.s and tic-tac-toe.s, and those will be the 2 files that you turn in. They'll be worth equal credit each, all right? So use the autograder to turn that in, and I think that is all that I wanted to say. So yeah, that's your lab 1. Get started and yell at me if you have any questions.